Hello and welcome back to Podium Pop. My name is Celine. This is Gracie. We are a motorsport podcast where we talk mostly about Formula One and Indycar, but we always sprinkle in some other motorsport news. Today we are doing a recap of the Indycar race over the weekend. They were in Detroit. We're also going to talk about some exciting F1 news that has dropped, some sad F1 news that has dropped, and kind of talk about what that trickle effect could be. If you don't already, make sure you go follow us on social media. We do often have bonus episodes that we drop throughout the week, along with posting weekly, mostly on Mondays, sometimes on Tuesdays. So make sure you're following us. We post a lot on TikTok. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We post on YouTube and Spotify, and we're working on Apple Music. We say that every week, and one week we will actually have a resolution to that. So let's go ahead and pop the bottle and get right into it, because we've got a lot to talk about.
We have a lot to talk about. Honestly, we had to delay our recording, and we didn't record yesterday on Sunday. Very glad we didn't, because we just have so much news to talk about, and it is mainly about Mr. Esteban Ocon.
Yeah, I will say, so we woke up to the news, similar to how we woke up to the news that Lewis was going to Ferrari. The time zone we're in, it's always really dicey. I feel like they always kind of announce at their time, like Europe time around like noonish, I would guess.
Yeah, kind of.
Don't quote me on it, but it's always like right when we're waking up. So I woke up to quite a few Twitter notifications and did panic slightly on what it was. But I gotta be honest, I'm disappointed, but I'm not completely shocked.
So let's break everything down first. And what we were talking about is this morning, Monday morning, Alpine announced that that Esteban Ocon will not be returning for the 2025 season. So, kind of big snowball effect, I feel. They've probably been talking about having Esteban not returning for a while. But, as we all know, at the Monaco Grand Prix, he pulled a move that ended up having Pierre crash into him. Dumb move. He owned up to it right away and was like, this was my fault. Blah, blah, blah. Yada, yada. Team obviously is not happy with that. Pierre obviously not happy about that. Esteban probably not happy with himself either. What led to that, though, before we talk about him leaving Alpine, the amount of hate he got online was absolutely insane. And I'm not justifying his drive. Nobody's justifying his drive or his moves. But the massive amount of just, like, random hate that he's getting for this is crazy. People are acting like he is saying that it wasn't his fault. Right.
And also, like, again, he owned up to it. And I'm not, like, the biggest Alpine... Well, I'm definitely the biggest Alpine fan. But I'm not the biggest Esteban fan.
Me either.
But at the end of the day, like, it's definitely annoying, because if this exact same situation happened with another team that they liked the driver that was doing it, or it's a more well-liked driver, like, they would there would be nowhere near the amount of uproar that there is right now.
Yeah. And the thing that's, like, what got me the most is that, like, people are just so comfortable online these days, and it's not just for Formula 1 drivers or race car drivers, it's literally everybody, just throwing around, like, the most insane and absurd hatred, because it's all behind a screen. And I know this has been talked about before so many times, but, like, it's just so insane. And it got to the point where Esteban himself posted, like, a statement being like, you have to go read it. It's very long. I'm not even going to summarize it that well. But, like, defending himself. And what was crazy is at the time, everybody was like, why didn't Alpine do anything? Why didn't his own team stick up for him? All they did was respond to his comment with hearts. Like, that's doing nothing to help it. And, like, also his own team was the one that was kind of pushing this narrative a little bit that he could be replaced for Canada, which we had all talked about. Everyone was like, oh my god, who's going to step in for Esteban? And then that led to even more hate.
It was definitely a big snowball effect.
Yeah, it was a huge snowball effect.
And, like, we talk so much about, you know, mental health in motorsport and sports in general. Like, I totally get the consequences of him getting dropped from the team.
Yeah.
I understand that completely. But more so the fact of him having to kind of stick up for himself and defend himself in this aspect where Alpine was just comfortable not only not saying anything, but also kind of, like, fueling the fire.
Oh,
like,
my gosh,
fueling the flames
for sure.
a little bit. Like, they wanted people to kind of go after him. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made all of this public knowledge. They would have thought about it.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have had speculation, but there was actual, like, quotes from the team principal about how he could be replaced for the Canadian Grand Prix, so.
And then also, like, totally different side of the spectrum. Not spectrum. Racing series. Literally, Arrow McLaren just put out a statement today with, I say their name wrong all the time, Hunikos Holliker Racing, I think, because during the race, Teo Pourchaire, like, bumped into one of their drivers, and that caused him to have damage or something. I literally don't know all of what happened, but, and then everybody online was being mean to Teo, and then literally both teams put out a statement and was like, we do not tolerate this at all. Oh, it's so easy to put, and then, like,
that point that she just made will be, I'll be circling back to that later in the podcast, because there's definitely a big point that I want to make on how IndyCar handles things versus Formula One, especially now that we're getting much more comfortable and knowledgeable about IndyCar.
Yeah, definitely.
So that point will be revisited.
But, like, it's just not hard at all to be, like, for a team to put out a statement.
It's like the bare minimum.
It's literally the bare minimum.
It takes, like, 5 minutes.
And, no, I'm not saying their team putting out a statement is going to take away all the hate and online bullying he's getting or whatever, but it's going to help. And, of course, if the team is like, we're sticking behind our driver, like, this is not allowed, this is not...
Listen, if Ferrucci's team can stick behind him, like come on. Which they shouldn't.
Talking about? No, they shouldn't.
But if there's some loyalty there for Ferrucci, I think we can show some loyalty to Esteban, especially for the amount of years that he's put into Alpine.
Oh my
it's
God,
not like
honestly.
This is his first year.
No. And then we woke up today, Monday morning, to see that Alpine is relieving Esteban for 2025. So
yeah, I mean,
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised, and I do think that it's not a bad move for Alpine, because I think there's definitely a lot of potential. Not that he's a bad driver, but I think that bringing in a different driver will just bring more unity to the team and maybe give them a bit of a fresher start. I'm not saying fresh start completely, because I think they're keeping Pierre, but I don't know. I mean, this is gonna cause a lot of
it's another snowball, another trickle,
because we don't know if Esteban has another seat. He kind of implied that he did in his statement, where he was like, more to come about my future announced soon.
Yeah, he said soon.
There's been rumors about him going to Haas. I mean, there's rumors that he could be a reserve driver for Mercedes and kind of stick around there, because he's been with the Mercedes family for quite a bit.
What if Tilda said, fuck it, I'm signing Esteban?
I mean, I
talked about it before.
And he has a good relationship with Toto.
He has a great relationship
that
with
I
Toto.
think if for some reason things fall through with Kimi, that could always be a possibility. But they got, like, Mercedes has, similar to Red Bull, they have so many people, like, ready to go that, like, I don't know where on that, I mean, like, they have Fred.
They have Fred and Mick already.
Like, yeah, so there's so many other people. I mean, Alex could move up. Valtteri could go back to Mercedes. There's so many other people that I don't know.
Alex Albon?
Yeah, I mean, he's with Williams.
Well, yeah, but he just signed a multi-year contract.
I know, but they're like linked, so he could technically move up.
Well, yeah, I don't think he would.
But there's just so many other people that could be considered before Esteban, so I don't know if he would or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's interesting. Yeah. I personally think he may be going to Haas.
I could see that for sure. And Esteban-Ollie duo would be pretty good.
Yeah.
Do you think Jack Doohan is going to step up?
I hope so.
I hope so too, and I'm going to say this right now. Alpine, if you mess with Jack Doohan in any way, I will be in your walls. I will be crawling in your walls. I don't think it'll just be you. I
think a lot of the fans love him.
Oh, yeah.
And not that they don't love Esteban, but, like, he has, like, a really strong, like, fan base.
Does.
Like, he's not the one to mess with, I think.
It's like the Liam Lawson, Jack Doohan, Fred, and Mick. I feel like these people that, like, their fans are so dedicated to them, and they also want to so badly see them in Formula One, which me too. I
mean, there's also rumors that Mick could move up to Alpine.
I forgot about those rumors.
Yeah, and, like, I would also really love Mick to come back to Formula One. I don't know if he will.
I do too. I feel like I would feel so bad for Jack if Mick came in and took that, not take it from him, but got that seat. Mm-hmm.
It would be, once again, just like...
We're just watching another sitting duck in a reserve
It's literally
seat.
Oscar Piastri again.
It's literally Oscar.
You're not giving me... what I was promised, basically.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, thinking about all of the rookies that could be coming in. So, like, Ollie. We have Kimmy. Hopefully Jack, or if not Jack, then Mick, even though he's not a rookie, but he feels like one because it's been so long since he's raced, and he really didn't race that much. And then we still don't know if Liam's going to have a spot or not. I don't think he's going to.
I feel like Red Bull is fumbling the bag, and I know how much Liam loves the Red Bull family and has been with them for so long.
He should look elsewhere.
Yeah.
It's disappointing.
Which also, another one coming up in the Red Bull, who's in the Red Bull family, is Isaac Hajar in F2, and he's so good too.
He's the one that did that really good, quick reflex.
The quick save in Monaco during practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So many good rookies. And, like,
there's so many.
Once again, going to make this point later about how IndyCar's doing things a little bit better than Formula One. But, like, it's just so disappointing because, like, yes, we want to see our favorites race forever. Of course we do. But at some point, like, you either need to add a team, Andretti, or you need to, like, you need to go and let some rookies come in. Otherwise,
you are wasting potential, and they're going elsewhere.
They're going to go elsewhere. They're going to keep going to IndyCar. They're going to keep going to WEC.
Yeah.
They're going to go to these different racing series, be like, this is great. And they're not going to come back to Formula One.
And you're just going to have a bunch of these amazing rookies going elsewhere, and people are going to be like, oh, I watched them come up in F2. I'm going to go follow them. My favorites aren't in Formula One anymore. Why am I watching? Like, obviously it's not going to be that big of a deal, but I don't know. I feel like Formula One is fumbling with this real badly. And literally, what is it costing them to add another team?
Yeah.
And the fact that the president, CEO of Formula One told Andretti, you're not getting in, buy another team. That's absolutely insane.
It doesn't make a lot. It really doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And for it to be such a, like, it's not like this is just, like, a team coming out of nowhere. It's freaking Andretti. Like, they're literally, like, one of the biggest racing teams in America.
And Andretti won a world championship. What are you talking about?
And all they talk about, we're ranting now, all Formula One talks about is wanting to get American fans. They want American sponsors. They want they want to continue growing it in America. And they did really good with the Netflix show. And I think that they think that they are capitalizing on that Netflix show, and eventually I do think they are. They're growing for the Netflix show, but that's going to decline really soon if they don't make changes.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Andretti would bring over so many people.
Like, Colton Herta.
Well, I mean, like, first of all, yes,
I know.
Colton Herta, but, like, fans.
Yeah.
Andretti would bring over so many fans. It just does not make any sense. It's dumb.
We could go on for a while.
Yeah, we could, for sure. Do we have anything more on the Esteban Formula One?
I don't have anything more.
Wait, so you think Pierre's staying?
Yes.
I kind of think so, too.
I think that if they were going to get rid of both of them, I think maybe he's staying depending on how he continues to do. I think if he continues getting points and kind of staying where he is or doing better, where he is from the last race, which was, what, P9? P10?
Yeah.
I think that they'll keep him.
I don't think they would drop him at all. I don't think they can afford to bring in, like... Oh, first of all, I don't think they can afford to bring in someone new because everybody sees, first of all, how shitty the leadership is at the team and how shitty they're doing. And I don't think they can afford to bring in, like, 2 rookies. Because, like, I feel like a rookie would be somebody that would go to the team. I don't know. I feel like they would have to keep him unless Pierre finds a spot somewhere else.
Which I don't even know where he would find a spot.
Yeah, I don't either. I feel like he would stay.
Where would he find a spot? Williams? Who's going to Williams? Well, Alex is at Williams.
Maybe Carlos?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that guy. Oh, that's a whole nother story.
Another can of worms.
The day that they announce where Carlos is going will be a big day. Because that's literally all people... Like, when people talk about silly season, it's like all a trickle effect of, like, where Carlos is going. And I think, again, once we have that information, all of the chips will fall in place.
Yeah.
But we'll see when we get that announcement, because it doesn't seem like anything is coming soon.
When did,
Unless Red Bull.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so following that, Red Bull started, like, you can start basically, like, with all of your followers, a big group message on Instagram, basically, where you get a notification where it's, like, in your DMs. And it said, announcement soon, like, stay tuned. It's basically like a channel. And everybody's like, what does this mean?
Which, like, normally you post that and then you, like, announce it, like, 12 hours later.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's been, like, 48 hours.
Yeah. And I can't tell if this is just, like, a Checo contract extension, which I feel like it would be, because I feel like they wouldn't... If they were... it'd be rude. It has to be a Checo contract extension. Because they're not...
Unless Checo wants to retire.
Oh, unless Checo wants
If he wants to retire...
I feel like he doesn't.
Well, I would have said he doesn't, a couple months ago, but recently his radios have been very, like... He just seems over it. Like, his radios in Monaco and the last couple of races, like, there's been a couple where he's just been like, there's not really, like, a point, like, we're not going to get it or whatever. Like, it's very, like, complacently near the back of the grid. So I think maybe he, at that point, either decided already that he was going to retire or... Maybe that caused him to want to retire. Or maybe they're just assholes, which we know that Red Bull is. And they are, well, they're probably keeping Checo.
Yeah,
that's at the point. I think he's staying too. But, I mean, it's Red Bull.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to tease an announcement for a new driver without first telling us that they've let go of a current driver. Like, that's like truly taking it too far. Like, building up the hype.
It's Red Bull.
Yeah, I guess. Who knows? Anyway.
I do think it's just Checo staying, but...
Did I ask this question already? You would know more than me because I haven't been here for over a year. When have we seen, like, rookies be announced? Like, when was Oscar announced?
It was a little after... Either during summer break or a little after summer break. Okay. Because that was when the whole Alpine came out. And I remember it was around my birthday. So August, I think. Okay. A little after. End of August, early September is my very bad guess. Okay.
I just cannot wait for that. I want some fresh meat on the grid.
I know. I want to switch it up. And, like, also, like, I just think, Oscar and even Logan, like, they aren't rookies anymore. Like, I like having rookies on the grid because it's, like, interesting to see. It's, like, a sink or swim kind of thing. Like, we know what we're going to get out of Logan. We know what we're going to get out of Oscar. But, like, we know what we're getting out of everyone. But, like, with rookie, you're just like, oh, my God, like, is this going to be the race where they do fantastic? Or are they going to continue kind of, that kind of thing?
I want, like, another excitement of a rookie scoring points for the first time. Like, yeah.
So... I'm excited for some rookies coming in.
Very excited.
Plus, there's just so many talented rookies.
There are so many.
So many great people that could be coming in. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. Let's talk about Canada really quick.
Okay.
Next race this weekend is the Canadian Grand Prix.
Back in our time zone?
Back in our time zone.
Thank God. Is it in Montreal?
Montreal, yeah. How do we think it's going to go?
I'm going to put something out into the universe.
Me too. I think it's the same thing.
Oscar win?
Oscar win.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. He's been getting so close. And I think Monaco, it was, like, really difficult because, like, especially after qualifying. But I don't know. I just have a feeling. I think it's going to be a McLaren double podium. I think Oscar's going to win. And... I don't know if he'll get pole, though.
Oh, interesting. I could see Charles getting pole.
I could see Charles getting pole. I could see Lando getting pole.
Obviously, this is just in the simulator. I know. McLaren is supposed to have the best race pace in Canada. Is it the Canadian Grand Prix or the Montreal Grand Prix?
I think it's Canadian Grand Prix.
Got that.
I can check real quick, though. Yes.
Canadian Canadian Grand Prix.
Well, it's actually Formula 1... AWS Grand Prix du Canada. It's the Canadian Grand Prix.
I think there's a little bit of French thrown in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Oscar's gonna win.
I'm putting that out.
Yeah. Solid.
That was a good knuckle punch.
Bunch. Yeah.
You think Charles pole?
I think Charles pole.
I think Max pole, actually.
Okay. You think Max pole?
Mm-hmm. But Oscar win.
Okay, say your full podium.
Oscar, Lando, Max.
Okay. I'm going to say Oscar, Max, Carlos.
Okay. I love that.
I feel like I jinxed ourselves last week saying McLaren double podium, so.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm staying.
No, I love that.
I think it's, I continue looking forward to seeing Oscar and Carlos kind of go back and forth with things, which they were so friendly with each other.
Well, you know, Carlos also made that statement. He was in an interview, whatever, and he was like, Oscar and I just continue to find each other on track. I don't know what it is. We're fine off track.
Yeah, he's like we're magnets.
Yeah, he's like we're magnets.
Yeah, and I think that is so like funny too. Like, which again, a point that I'm gonna make later. This point's gonna be so disappointing to you all the way that I'm hyping it up.
Actually, I'm gonna take it back. If this is an Oscar win, I am gonna say Oscar, Max, Lando. Mm-hmm. Mainly because I need Lando on that podium, and like I need people on the podium who are like Charles and Max knew what they were supposed to do. They understood the assignment when Lando won, dousing him in the champagne, including Andrea in the celebrations. They knew the assignment.
Yep.
I need that for Oscar too.
Yeah.
Like I need people up there who are going to understand the assignment. I just need it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Those are our predictions.
Yeah, those are our predictions.
And they're probably going to come true.
They are going to come true.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to make my point now.
Are we switching to IndyCar?
Do you have anything else to say about Formula One?
No.
Okay.
We're wrapping up our Formula One segment, and we are moving into IndyCar. This weekend was the Detroit Grand Prix. Mm-hmm. Go.
So it's kind of a transition thing because it talks about both of them.
Yeah.
So we talked obviously a little bit about it earlier about how Formula One keeps kind of messing up and how IndyCar is doing things right. Mm-hmm. I feel like just the last couple of weeks, so many people start watching IndyCar.
Yeah, for sure.
And, like, start seriously keeping up with it, like, watching the practices, watching the qualifying, watching the races. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because how well IndyCar handles situations and how they just go about things. Mm-hmm. It's this, like, that alone. There's multiple reasons why. But there's that alone. And then also again, Formula One wants American fans.
Yeah.
And Formula One is just not super accessible to Americans. And that's not me saying, like, they need to add more American races. Mm-hmm. They just need to make it more accessible for American fans. They need to have more opportunities for, you know, even, like, I don't know, like, they do, when they come to America and they do media or they do press or they do these tours, they're in LA, they're in New York.
Yeah.
They need to go out and like, send some of the drivers to, like, the Indy 500. Or send some PR, send them to do things in Chicago, in the Midwest, in COTA. Like, it's just not accessible for American fans. And they, once again, saying no to Andretti is a really bad, like, move long term.
Yeah, for sure. Because
Andretti would bring those American fans. They would be based out of America. They'd be able to have their Formula One drivers do a lot of press in America. Mm-hmm. And it would bring a lot of American sponsors. Like, I don't know. It's just...
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I would say, just like how Aero McLaren and McLaren F1 did, like, a little... Good luck, guys, for, like, the Monaco Grand Prix and the Indy 500. They did, like, a little video, like, a little swap. I know last year they did, like, a little, like, FaceTime video and, like, posted it. Like,
they've had, like, Pato and Lando, like, interview each other. Like, it's just... There's so much crossover. It just makes it more accessible for American fans.
Yeah.
I think another thing is that IndyCar does a great job of showing us how their drivers are really like.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Formula One, it used to be like Formula One was like, I'm always the first one to be like, let the drivers, like, let their aggression out. Like, go ahead. Like, talk about how they're really feeling during these press conferences. Yeah. That's what they're there for. And they used to do that all the time. And now Formula One drivers are so, like, PR trained.
So PR trained.
That it's almost like it comes off like in the press that they're just kind of like little like robots a lot of times, and that's not the case for all of the drivers. And obviously all the drivers have times where you do see their personality, you see glimpses of it, but it's so like when you ask them a question that they're obviously upset about, who wouldn't be upset about a situation like this? Using Carlos as an example, losing his seat at Ferrari, like not once was he in an interview and did he slip up anything about being upset about the situation. You can't tell me he wasn't upset. His whole career that he's been working for his whole time is like now like, oh, don't know if you'll have a seat next year. Of course he's upset. The difference is that IndyCar, like, they do a great job of creating a friendly atmosphere. Everyone says that all of the IndyCar drivers are like, oh my God, like, I drove in Formula 1 before, or I was a reserve driver over there, and it's just a different environment. We get along so much better over here, which is great. But when they are upset with each other, or when they are very unhappy about something, they aren't afraid to, like, just come out and say it. And I think that makes it so much more real. Like, using the example from this past weekend, with the Ferrucci situation, which, if you don't know what happened, do you want to explain it a little bit?
Yeah, I guess during a practice, by the way. It
was practice.
A practice.
We're not big. We're obviously Ferrucci haters.
Sorry. Don't send him active hate. He did make a homophobic comment, so we're not sticking up for that.
We don't bulliers.
Yeah.
We hate him, but we don't
support
it to his face.
We don't support a homophobic comment at all. But, you know, harping back on the Esteban thing, you can't just go, you can, you know, we know what I'm talking about. Kyle Kirkwood and Santonio Ferrucci, practice session. They're near each other. They're practicing. These streets are tiny. This track is, like, it's so small. I was so scared the whole time. They were right next to each other. Ferrucci saying that Kyle turned into him. Kyle didn't. Ferrucci more turned into him. It was like they were next to each other. They both had to turn, and then they just bumped into each other.
Nothing happened.
Literally nothing happened. Nobody got hurt. Cars were fine. It was practice. And Kyle Kirkwood is getting out of his car. He still has this little balaclava. Is that how it's pronounced? He's pulling that off his head. And Ferrucci comes up and just shoves him and starts screaming at him.
Like, you turned into me. You turned into me.
Kyle's
like, what?
I urge you to go watch this because Kyle's face is so funny.
He didn't even know.
He had no clue what was going on. And then, the interviews after were just from Kyle and Colton Herta were funny. And Ferrucci did do an interview and was like, he turned into me, da-da-da-da. And then, referring to Kyle, and then he went, yeah, and then his little boyfriend over there on his team also, da-da-da. So just talking about Colton Herta. So making sly homophobic, sly, is that the right word?
Casual?
Slight homophobic comments.
Homophobic.
That's not okay.
Yeah.
So
During Pride Month.
And also, I personally didn't see this, but apparently he put out some statement, which so many people, a part of the LGBTQ community, were like, I'm not accepting this.
Yeah.
That's dumb. Which they do not have to. But, yeah.
But yes, that was the situation that happened. But again, interviewing Kyle, interviewing Colton afterwards, like, they were obviously upset, and they were like, well, they made multiple comments, but Colton made a comment about how, like, maybe he should focus on getting his car, you know, better than a P20.
He's like, well, he's dragging it to a P20 every week.
Yeah, and, like, there's just, like, little comments like that. Like, it just makes it, like, more, like, real. Like, obviously Colton was offended that he was yelling at his teammate, and also that he was, like, trying to make comments about him, so he just said what he was feeling. Like, if that happened in Formula 1, like, I'd fall out of my seat.
God, I know.
Imagine, like, Charles being mad at, like, I don't know, anyone. It's like you wouldn't even know because, like, they're all, like, PR trained.
Yeah.
But, like, imagine, like, Charles being like, well, maybe he should do better than P17 one week. Like, I want to be like, whoa!
Yeah, that'd be really insane.
It'd be insane. Romain Grosjean also, like, went after was mad at Ferrucci.
Roman and Ferrucci have, like, a history of hating each other.
Yeah. He went up to Ferrucci's, like, some guy on his team. And was literally like, hey, tell your boy to get it together or else I'm driving him into the wall.
He, like, said that.
And I was like, Romain Grosjean. Oh, my God.
I also made a joke, and I was like, Ferrucci, the last person he should be messing with is a man who literally got a second chance at life.
Yeah, like he climbed out of a ball of fire.
Why are you trying to mess with him right now? I would not do that.
Yeah, no, I saw a tweet that was like, I can't wait for Ferrari to try to come at someone that, like, he shouldn't mess with. Like, imagine him trying to go after, like, Will Power.
That'd be so... Which he did bump Will Power.
He did.
I'm gonna bring another statement. I feel like we may have talked about this before, but comparing Drive to Survive to 100 Days to Indy... 100 Days to Indy is also so much more personable. And, like, my favorite moment was Scotty Mac and his family. He was literally with his wife and his in-laws, and they were literally outside of his trailer, like, grilling and cooking. It just showed, like, a nice little, like, slice of life domestic. Like, it was cute. It was such a good scene, and, like, his in-laws were, like, so happy for you, so proud of you, like, going on. Like, that was, like, so cute. Versus we see, like, the opening to Drive to Survive is just, like, everybody being like, where's Lawrence Stroll? Get Lawrence Stroll in here. Everybody act right when Lawrence Stroll gets here. Yeah. And they're, like, freaking out about it when it's just so, like, over 100 days and you're like, la, 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 la.
No,
like,
honestly, like, that's the thing, too, is, like, because there was drama and there was obviously, like, tension in 100 Days to Indy.
For sure.
But they weren't, like, making it up out of nowhere. It was much more realistic because they had the other, like, the fun stuff and, like, the day-to-day life stuff sprinkled in there and all of it together, that it's like, okay, that's believable. But some of this stuff with, you know, Drive to Survive, and it doesn't help the drivers themselves have come out, you know, being like, that didn't happen. Like,
literally
that's
Lando
not
on
true.
stream being like,
yeah,
that's wrong.
Like, you know, Max talking about how he felt like he was villainized in the show. Like, none of the IndyCar drivers are coming out and being like, Drive to Survive are not 100 Days to Indy definitely, like, didn't show this right or didn't show this right, because they're just being real and actually just showing what's actually happening. But all that to say, I am super excited to get more and more, like, involved in IndyCar and interested in IndyCar, and I think that I'm seeing, like, a huge jump. Yeah. And, like, even we were talking with our, like, friends who mainly watch Formula One, and we were talking about, like, some of the stuff that happened this weekend and talking about some of, like, the differences and even, like, just the differences in some of the rules that, like, make it better racing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And how, you know, you'll have, like, 8 different people leading a race and we still don't know who's going to, like, even down to the last couple of laps, we're like, okay, who's going to win? Yeah. Because there's not these huge gaps and it's just more competitive. That, like, even they were like, oh, my God, maybe we should, like, start watching IndyCar. Like, we need to start tuning in. And I think so many people are doing that. Even I've been seeing a lot of people, there's, like, a trend on TikTok right now where it's women in motorsport, and they're basically saying, like, my name's this, I'm this many years old, I'm from this country, and I like this kind of this. I'm seeing a lot of people outside of America saying that they're following IndyCar and watching IndyCar, which kind of shocked me, which is exciting, though, that it's kind of reaching that more global impact. It's going to take, you know, it's not going to be bigger than Formula One outside of America. There's no way. Yeah. I mean, if that ever got to the case, it'd be like years, like decades from now. But it is cool that it's definitely still kind of leaking into, you know, outside of America. And I think that a lot of the Formula One American fans that became fans from, you know, Drive to Survive or just the huge surgence in American fans the last couple of years, a lot of them are like, oh, we had IndyCar here, and, like, it's just been a thing that's been here this whole time, and I didn't know. And they're like, oh, well, why wouldn't I just follow IndyCar then? It's better, it's more competitive racing, it's closer to me, I can go to the races. And I just think it's exciting, though, to see that we're seeing a huge increase in IndyCar fans.
I love it.
Me included.
I'm backtracking to 2 points real quick. We were talking about how Formula One needs to be more accessible, kind of like how IndyCar is. Like, just for an example, at the Detroit Grand Prix this weekend for IndyCar, if you had a grandstand ticket for Saturday or Sunday, you could go onto the paddock, which is so accessible, and, you know, fans got to, like, get an up-close experience. And I understand that, like, in Formula One, you could not do that. But I think there's ways, first of all, lower the ticket prices. Yeah.
Which, like, even on, like, in Detroit, Friday was literally free for anyone to get in.
I think for Formula One, obviously these ticket prices need to be lowered. It's insane. And even things like Thursday is media day, and I get the teams are still there and working, but I think, like, Thursdays you could do, like, like a track walk. Mm-hmm. And I know there are track walks, but that's another add-on to your ticket. That's more prices you have to pay. Just be like, track walk, I don't know, maybe section off, like, from grandstand or something. Like, this grandstand come for these 3 hours. This grandstand come... I don't know. Like,
there's definitely ways to try. Like, you don't know if it's going to work or not. It's going to be hard no matter what. But, like, again, like, another thing, like, when we went to the Indy road course, like, they were like, anyone with a ticket after the race is over, you are more than welcome to go walk around on the track. And we got to walk and go to the podium.
We were also at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Mm-hmm. It's huge. There were so many people there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was just really cool. Again, it's just another, like, the little things that IndyCar does for their fans, it's definitely more so, like, they are there for the fans. They are not there to impress the spot. I mean, obviously they want to impress sponsors. For sure. That's how they make money. But, like, they know that, like, they have to keep their fans happy, and they're just doing a lot of things right.
Yeah. Even, like, also, like, in Melbourne, how they have the Melbourne Walk for the Grand Prix. We feel like we can incorporate that at more races. Mm-hmm. I don't know. My second point. Formula One would fucking love Colton Herta.
Oh my gosh.
And you know what? Don't get me started on that goddamn super license.
No.
We've talked about it before, but Formula One would love Colton Herta. The fans would love Colton Herta.
I would love for Colton Herta to be in Formula One. And
Colton Herta, this might sound mean, this is no slander. Colton Herta can give what everyone wanted Logan Sargent to give. Mm-hmm. 100%. I love Logan. We all know I am a Logan fan through and through. But Colton Herta can give that American bada bing, bada boom, what people want.
Yep.
And it's just so sad to see that he is... Yeah, obviously, like, he loves IndyCar and he loves what he's doing there. But I would... Oh, my God. It'd be amazing to see him in Formula One.
I think also, too, like... Before, like, I got really into IndyCar, I was like, why would anybody choose to drive an IndyCar if they had the option to choose in Formula One? Or, like, I'm always like, well, if it's my favorite driver, I'd prefer them to drive in Formula One. Mm-hmm. And I still definitely would prefer them in Formula One, only because I know that they would probably themselves prefer to be in Formula One because of just it being, like, an iconic dream, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, I also am now, like, at the point where, again, I've been to IndyCar races. I've seen how accessible they are. I've seen how... close I'm able to, like, get to, like, interacting with my favorite driver or getting to, like, see the behind the scenes and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, maybe I don't want Colton Herta to go to Formula One only because I'm like, I get to go and, like, see Colton Herta race in person.
Yeah, it's much more accessible
multiple times a year I have the opportunity. Or, like, here it's like, I can maybe, I went to Miami, but, like, maybe go to Coda, like, and then Las Vegas would be, like, that's it, and that would be really expensive to go to all three. So, like, it's just... Also, like, now I'm like, do I want Colton? I do want Colton because I know he would want to go to Formula One.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm also like, well, like, it's a good alternative. Same vice versa, with Logan. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's going to be Formula One next year unless something crazy happens. But I'm like, before, I was like, oh, he can go to IndyCar. I'm like, now I'm excited. I'm like, oh, if he goes to IndyCar.
Yeah.
With Prema's coming to IndyCar next year, like, maybe he could go to Prema. I don't know. But it's just definitely, like... Mm-hmm. Since I've been to and started getting, like, really interested in IndyCar, which has been over maybe, like, the last month and a half or so, I'm, like, definitely shifting perspective on, like, how I look at them both differently.
Yeah. I have one more point, and then we can recap the Detroit Grand Prix. Mm-hmm. I was also thinking about it. The Triple Crown is something I, like, weirdly hyper-fixated on a few months ago. I don't know why. She loves talking about it. I do love talking about Triple Crown. And I was thinking about it because I was like, oh, Charles won Monaco. He has started his Triple Crown. I wonder if he would want to, try and complete it. We've heard Max say that he doesn't think he would ever do the 500, but he would like to compete in the Mon. If you're not a Formula One driver, you can't get the Triple Crown, which sucks. Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. Once again, not very accessible.
No.
And I think also... It's really not accessible for American drivers either.
No, not at all.
Like, it's so much harder to get into Formula One if you aren't karting in Europe.
Yeah.
Leading up to, doing the Formula One series and all of them. Like, it's so much more difficult. And I think it just, again, is just another hurdle that American drivers, starting with go-karts, have to even, like, get past.
Yeah.
And they, aren't getting the opportunity for a lot of things, but to be in Formula One is the biggest thing. Like,
yeah.
Disappointing.
I just got stuck thinking about that.
Yeah.
And I get Monaco's hard. I for sure get it. But also the 500 has one-off entries.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know they're very different. Oval, street circuit, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
Let's recap the Detroit Grand Prix.
It was a doozy.
I had the best time.
So many yellow flags. I think it was like only 35 laps were driven under a green flag.
A lot of people were like hating it. I kind of loved it.
I loved it. I was like, who's bumping into each other next? Like, what's gonna happen? Like, there was like so many like collisions.
Yeah.
Which, another point to make, I think I've mentioned this before, but Indy cars are so much more sturdy than Formula One cars. Like, they were bumping and they just kept on driving. Like, he would have had to pull off track. There was a puncture, front wing broken. All of this stuff could have happened if it was a Formula One car. And they just bump and they're like, all right, we're good. Let's keep going.
In the opening lap, like a 4 or 5 car pileup, they were all kind of like right in there. Looked like a little centipede, to be honest. Mm-hmm. And then they just started reversing and going out and then driving again.
He like literally was on top of a car. He reversed off the car and was like, all right, ready to go. And they just kept driving. Like,
and then like Colton went into a runoff for a bit and he like didn't hit it. Luckily, he stopped in time. A truck came out. They helped pull him out and he was a lap down, but he still went back out there.
He just continued on his way.
Like, the Formula One cars would be ruined.
Yeah. They'd be like...
They'd have to get the crane out. It would be a red flag. Like,
yeah. It's crazy how durable they are. But yes, the race was chaotic. It was Colton started on pole. He did not finish on pole.
We love Colton.
We love Colton.
That sounded
so
mean
much.
Of me.
No, we love him. He's one of my favorites. There was some rain that caused a lot of issues. That shifted things quite a bit because some people did the strategy to put on their rain tires. I don't know what they call them in IndyCar. We need to look in the tires for IndyCar. But some people put on their like rain tires sooner than others, and then some of them decided not to put on rain tires because it wasn't very long. There was nothing on the radar. It was really a big strategy call that like it kind of split the grid in half of people that did and didn't go for that strategy. And it ended up that the people that didn't put on the rain tires ended up having the advantage at the end because of, again, another yellow flag that caused the track to dry as they were driving slowly. They didn't have to drive fast in the rain. That just worked out for them. But it was a lot. So I can't even tell you how many people crashed into each other. It would actually just take us too long. So
it literally would take us too long.
Notable ones is Ferrucci, the homophobe, crashed into Alex Palou, the man driving the Pride car. Like,
are you kidding me?
I know it wasn't on purpose. I know. Even Ferrucci's probably learned his lesson and is not going to intentionally crash into someone. But interesting.
Very.
Interesting to note. Colton Herta also, but who did he bump into when he was doing that? Someone, Rasmussen?
Maybe.
I don't know. He bumped into someone. Neither of them stopped, but Colton was a lap behind. There were, oh my god, there was just so many things. Who else?
In the very beginning, like, there was just it was basically like Teo Pourchaire had nowhere to go, and so he bumped someone. I think he bumped Will Power, and then Will kind of spun a bit and then had to stop. He was kind of not in the wall, but he was like right there, and then that led to what we were talking about, like the 4 or 5 car pileup. That very first turn is like insane. So every time there was a restart, there was another yellow immediately. I think like by like the 4th one, we were like, please, dear God, please just get through it.
One lap.
Eventually
they did settle down. It's like after the rain happened, it like kind of mellowed out a little bit, but like the beginning and then up until the rain happened, it was just like one thing after another.
It was chaos.
Over and over and over again. But it was a really good race. Final standings was Scott Dixon won, which is very exciting. Marcus Ericsson kind of came out of nowhere and got second. And then Marcus Armstrong, his very first podium in IndyCar. We're all very excited. We're big Marcus Armstrong fans. I like Marcus Ericsson because I'm an Andretti fan as well. So I was happy about him being on podium also. But Marcus Armstrong and Scott Dixon being on podium together, both from the same team, Chip Ganassi. Same country. And, you know, obviously Marcus Armstrong just grew up watching Scott Dixon race.
It was
Scott
really
Dixon
cute.
is an iconic race car driver.
He's like said before that he's like his idol.
Yeah, and so the fact that he got his first podium with Scott Dixon It was really cute.
It was really cute. Marcus also on the podium before, like, sprang in, celebrating, took a big chug.
And
which
he's
I love that.
So real
he
for that.
Deserves that.
Yeah. Another thing, like, just kind of putting into perspective how close the race was.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, during it, like, Kyle Kirkwood and Alexander Rossi were right up next to it.
Mm-hmm.
Colton Herta was in front of Scott Dixon at one point because he was like a lap behind people.
Mm-hmm.
But again, a difference between IndyCar and Formula One is that he didn't have to get out of the way for Will Power, so he was able to kind of hold him back a little bit.
Yeah.
And then obviously, like, I mean, it was just so close, even to where like they finished the lap, and on their cool down lap, Marcus Armstrong literally ran out of fuel.
Yeah.
Because he was like cutting it that close to the wire on saving fuel.
I think VK also ran out of fuel.
Yeah, so it was just a really good race. Really close racing, and again, it went back and forth so many times on who was leading. Like, you didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Even like 2 laps before. And I mean, also putting it into perspective, like Indy 500, how close it was, where they literally Pato got overtaken on the second to last turn.
Yeah.
Like, that is just 2 great races in a row, which actually Barbara was a really good race as well.
Barbara was also a great race.
So we're getting so many good, close races out of IndyCar lately that, like, it again just, like, makes me, like, excited to watch. I mean, I haven't lost my excitement. I still love Formula One. Like, I still, like, was waking up at 3 a.m. to watch these races, but, like, it's like this IndyCar, like, just makes me, like, excited to be like, wow, this is what, like, close racing really looks like. It's just...
And I feel like we're getting that back again with Formula One.
Oh, for sure. Five race winners in 8 races is amazing. 4 race winners. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm manifesting for Oscar.
No. I feel like we'd be, like, saying it a little bit different if it was, like, another Max domination. Which, once again, we love Max.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to make, like, little interjections every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be a little different. We'd be like, I don't know. I'm, like, very much becoming obsessed with IndyCar. I love it.
Yeah.
Like, we were talking about how close it was like Marcus Ericsson was getting real speedy too. Mm-hmm. And he overtook Marcus Armstrong was in second, and then Marcus Ericsson overtook him towards the end. And then even the commentators were like, what's gonna happen here? Like, he's he gonna be able to catch Dixon right now? He, like, didn't.
It helped a lot because Colton was holding back Scott Dixon for his teammate Marcus Ericsson.
Yeah.
And it was, again, like, so close. Like, if he would have had maybe a couple more laps, maybe something could have changed. Mm-hmm. But it's just, I don't know. It was such a good race. It's such good racing. It's such good to watch. So much fun to watch.
Yeah.
They're going to be back racing again this weekend in Wisconsin.
Yep, Road America, which this is our first IndyCar season, so I've heard so much about Road America. Apparently it is very exciting, so I cannot wait for that.
Yes. And it is actually interesting because this weekend, again, now that Formula One is in Canada and they're in the same time zone as us, that qualifying is going to be overlapping, as well as the race is probably going to be overlapping as well. So that'll be interesting.
Look out for our live reactions, because we're having dual TV.
Yeah, we're gonna be like, oh my gosh. We're actually going to a watch party at, like, a brewery. Yes, thank you. I can't say that word. And we need to. I think I'm gonna DM them and be like, can you also put on the IndyCar race as well?
I think we just ask them over there.
Yeah, it's gonna be such a good weekend. Yeah. But again, it's like, also, like, even if we aren't, or we haven't yet, but, like, making predictions for IndyCar, like, it's almost impossible.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, with Formula One, we're like, okay, we know Max will be up there, Ferrari will be up there, McLaren will be up there. We're like, if I was like, make a guess on, like, pole for IndyCar, like, who?
Marcus Armstrong.
Anyone. It could literally be anyone.
Yeah.
Which makes it great. So just doing a quick little recap of the championship standings for IndyCar. Scott Dixon this weekend actually moved up into first because of his race win. And then Alex Palou is in second, Will Power's in third, and then Pato is in fourth, and Alexander Rossi's in fifth. So really cool. Aaron McLaren's doing good up there. And then we also have the Chip Ganassi.
Teo had one hell of a weekend too. He was doing so great in qualifying. He was so close to making it to the Fast Six. We're loving his progress. I say we do our champagne pops and champagne problems for IndyCar Detroit Grand Prix.
Okay.
Who is your champagne pop?
Champagne pop, I'm giving it to Marcus Armstrong.
I'm also giving it to Marcus Armstrong.
I feel like
very exciting.
It's his first podium. Yeah. He deserves it. He had a great race.
Yeah.
I think I would give it to Teo as a honorable mention, just because of how
sure.
he also did so good during qualifying.
Yeah. That's like all the commentators were talking about too.
Yeah, they were really hyping up Teo during qualifying. And then Champagne Problem.
1, 2.
Wait, I don't know if we'll have the same one.
What?
Oh, well, I think that one's too easy. I mean, Ferrucci.
Yeah, Ferrucci.
I was also going to say honorable mention for Champagne Problem would go to Will Power because he had so many penalty points.
How he ended up in P6 at that race is he even said, I don't know how.
But that was an honorable mention for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it would still go to Ferrucci.
Yeah, it would go to Ferrucci for sure. Homophobes get the champagne problems.
Every time.
Every damn time.
If there's ever another weekend where a driver in IndyCar or Formula One makes a homophobic comment, you best believe that they will get my champagne problem. So, yeah.
I think that is our episode for the week. Thank you so much for listening. And once again, make sure you're following us on socials, on TikTok. With IndyCar and Formula One qualifying happening at the same time, I will be bringing back my quali live reactions. So tune in for that. And if you haven't yet given IndyCar a shot, this is your sign to do it.
Trust me.
Do it.
You just got to give it a shot and you're gonna love it. I swear.
Love it. Thanks for listening.
Bye.